The UK has a tax problem. The young people that have jobs are miserable, they are overtaxed, further taxed on their degrees which they were told to get by successive governments, to then do jobs under the constant threat of being replaced by AI, while not being able to afford to buy a property and not being able to afford to have children. I call this neo-feudalism, others call this late-stage capitalism, but either way, the balance for the worker and the state has become completely out of whack, which then creates an entire generation with mental health issues. It's the environment that's the illness, not the young people, which the state then has to pay for when they're assigned disability benefit. And I don't care if you think people are playing the system or not. I don't blame them. And frankly, what motivation have they got to not do this? If you've driven on our roads, visited town centres or tried to buy a house without selling an organ, you'll know the UK is falling apart. But we have road tax for the roads to work, we have council tax and business rates for the high street to function, and we pay stamp duty when we buy a house. All of which should motivate the government of the day to fix any and all problems of the population. But they aren't. In fact, everything seems to be getting worse. I've spoken previously about the various different issues facing the country: out of control government borrowing, a welfare state financed on outdated economic theories, and Brexit, which was genuinely imposing economic sanctions on ourselves. But taxes keep rising and the UK keeps getting worse. But you know what does keep rising fastest? The state pension and benefits. And that's not an opinion, that's a fact. And both of these things are meant to be funded through yearly national insurance contributions and topped up by general tax income. And this all worked fine when our demographics were effectively: we have a lot of workers, we don't have that many old people, and young people enter the workforce fast when they come out of school, or in rare cases back then, university. But in 2026, we have a lot of old people, not as many young people, and those young people are really struggling to get jobs. This, combined with a stagnant economy, the threat of an AI revolution around the corner to replace as many workers as possible, and actually, as a side note, the AI companies are legally allowed to lobby the same politicians who are going to have to work out how to tax those AI companies before they can extort trillions of wealth out of the UK economy. Just thought that was a point worth mentioning. But I digress. The UK has to get away from this pay-as-you-go form of tax and spend. For the UK to survive in its current form, we're going to have to desperately start means testing the things the state pays for. We need to dramatically cut taxes for young people and dramatically lower support for the wealthy old people. The state has to decide whether it wants to help everyone or just those in desperate need, because currently it's not really helping anyone and is costing those that work not just a fortune but their futures.